Hello, and welcome to this month's LinkedIn Lovin' Live, where we're shining a light on the world's leading B2B social media platform. That, of course, is LinkedIn. And today, so we're talking about our online presence, and we're looking at how it needs to be consistent across all the platforms. And, for me, this is really great because that's exactly what I say about LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn should be consistent with what you say on your website. It shouldn't be different. It should be consistent. It should be congruent. So I'm really delighted to be joined by Rick Hopwood today. He's the founder of Hopwood Creative and a Google visibility expert. And he's going to share with us what it means to have a consistent online presence. And we're going to be looking at, or chatting about how your Google business profile and your LinkedIn profile can work hand in hand to help you show up and stand out and get found by the right people. So hi and welcome, Rick. Lovely to see you.
Hi, Judy. Thanks for having me. It's great to meet you.
I'm super excited. I'm really pleased about this, Rick, because you're obviously helping me with my online presence and getting that consistent online presence, which is why I thought it'd be really good to do a LinkedIn Live with you to talk about it, because I think there's I know I have an over-reliance on LinkedIn, so I know that we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But before we do that, just before we start, I just want to let you know that if you're new to these LinkedIn Lovins and wondering what the heck they are short, bite-sized LinkedIn learnings over lunch. And each month I'm joined by a guest expert to share their expertise on subjects that will help your LinkedIn activity and general business results, all being well. So I do like to make these Lovins as interactive as possible. So if you do have any questions, please put them in the comments box and we'll get started. So I did have a quick question to ask people before we go or before we start. And that was, has anybody ever Googled their business name or their name and had a look at what comes up in the search results? I've done this. I've Googled my name. I've Googled the LinkedIn lady. And of course, I get LinkedIn coming up, but it'd be really interesting to see what other people get up. So just pop that in the comments box if you've ever Googled your name or business name, what generally comes up for you. So this LinkedIn Lovin' is all about the secret to being found on Google and LinkedIn. So Rick, I've got to ask you, that's got to be the first question. What is the secret to being found on Google and LinkedIn? How can we make sure that it's us right up there at the top of the Google search results?
Well, it's all about consistency, really. So yeah, consistency in the look and the tone and the information you're putting out there across multiple sources, really, to get found.
Wow, simple as that. When you say multiple sources, what kind of things are we talking about there?
So obviously we've got social media, we've got your website, we've got as well, there's numerous online directories you can list on, and in particular a Google business profile. The more consistent you can be across those sources, the better.
Wow. Yeah. So what you're saying is that we need to be consistent. We need a consistent online presence. And that means, so for me, when I look at what I do, that's having, obviously, I'm on LinkedIn. I did a bit of a face there because I was thinking of other social media, but we're looking, can you tell me what we mean a bit more about what a consistent online presence is? And why do we even need it?
Well, yeah, so I mean, if you think about it, years ago we had the yellow pages, and that's when
we're going back in time there, aren't we? Those younger people might not remember that.
Can you believe I'm old enough to remember that?
But, yeah. I don't think I am. I've never heard of that.
But yeah, I mean, people are looking for you online. And on the phones nowadays, more than anything, it's so easy to look up a business online. So yeah, but with online, it's not necessarily that one place where people could go to the yellow pages and look in one place. You've now got all these different sources like the social media we've mentioned, you know, your website everywhere online. Yeah, so it's that consistency, having that organic, consistent online presence across those multiple sources. Yeah, that's what we mean by it, really.
That's what we mean. That's really interesting, isn't it? I think, because like you say, if we do go back to when before the internet, for those of you that can remember, what did we do, you know, to find information? And it would be something like the Yellow Pages, wouldn't it? So I guess now we can go online and we can search the internet for all sorts of things. And I always say to people that, you know, 70% of traffic to LinkedIn is from the mobile. So there is a lot of people on the mobile searching for people, isn't it? And searching for solutions to the problems that we solve. I wanted to talk a little bit about a Google business profile, if I may, because that's what you're helping me with specifically, isn't it? To get that up and running. Because as some people may know, I had to change my business name. So that upset Google. I'm still trying to figure out how to get it back. Can you tell me what a Google business profile is and why we need one?
So Google Business Profile now in SO is, and I say now because it's been through, you'll know yourself, it's been through so many different changes over the years. They originally set up something for social media, trying to take on everyone else. But nowadays it's a free business listing you can claim that will help with your search presence and your presence on Google Maps as well.
So when you say presence on Google Maps as well, does that mean, because I don't have a business premise, or, you know, so does that still work for service providers like myself then?
It still does, yeah, because you've got, like, you can put in a search area, a radius, or, you know, a certain area that you want to be known in. So yeah, everything's quite geared to local now in searches. So if you're in one place and you search for a certain service, you're likely to get a different result to if you go, you know, down the road into Wakefield City Centre, for instance. So yeah, it's key in one of those keywords that we'll mention later in getting that local area you want to be known in out there, and then hopefully building your maps from that.
So what if you work across the UK?
Yeah,
what if you don't?
Well, then it's a case of we identify locally and we build out from there.
Okay. So it's not. So I'm just thinking from my perspective, because I don't have an office address to put on there, so I wouldn't want to put my home address on there. But also, I don't want to limit myself to, you know, just Yorkshire. But I guess what you're saying is, because I could say I'm based in and around Wakefield, Leeds, West Yorkshire. You know, I guess, you know, targeting local businesses is always going to be a good thing to do. I've just got to share this with Michael. So for those of you who remember Yellow Pages, that was what they said, isn't it? Let your fingers do the walking when it comes to Yellow Pages. That is going back some, isn't it? I don't think, does even Yellow Pages exist anymore? I don't think it does.
I don't think it does now. I think they stopped about a year or two ago, but it went from that size, didn't it, to right now. So.
Oh, indeed. Absolutely. So what are the key things that people need to then have on a Google business profile? Because I find it really interesting that when we talk about an online presence, I kind of only see it as social media, website at best. You know, and okay, yes, we need a Google business profile as well. But you're saying there's so much more to it than just that, isn't there?
Well, yeah, I mean, in short, really, you're telling Google a lot more information about your business by doing it directly on there. I always say Google loves Google; it loves its own products.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's almost like a cheat to getting you listed on Google. So yeah, you list your website and it'll go through the organic searches and everything. But actually, by using your Google business profile, you're actually cheating slightly and getting ahead of everyone else by telling it even more information. So you can list a bit about your business in a description, a detailed bio, put photos on there, put information about each service you offer, and you even have a Q&A section on there, which acts kind of like an FAQ section on the website. So you're giving people information directly in the searches about your business and what you can do for them.
Right. Okay. So does that negate having a website? Because I'm thinking, why have a website if you can put that information in a Google profile, business profile, and it helps you that Google loves Google, so it puts that up rather than a website.
It can do. It can. There's certain variations of business where probably your website isn't getting as noticed as much because you've got the information there to hand, but people want that quick information now. I always say a website is still central to that. So think of it as like you've got your Google, you've got your Google business profile, so you've got your LinkedIn, and they're almost like mini websites. And then you've got your main website is your like central hub for all the content, everything that you really want to go into detail about is on your main website. So the ultimate aim is get people to, yes, they've got your details to hand, but they can go further and find out more on your website, and there's examples and more things to back up, overall what you're saying on your profiles.
So that's a really good explanation. I like that. So you've got your website, that's like the hub, and then you've got LinkedIn in my case, and then if you've got other social media, you've got your Google business profile. Because I saw this on LinkedIn, and I'm very aware of it, that you shouldn't really have all your eggs in one basket, shouldn't you? So for like, and I am guilty of this, I am kind of very reliant on LinkedIn. And if LinkedIn, I don't own LinkedIn could go tomorrow, and stuff. So I guess working on building up a more consistent presence with more things out there that should LinkedIn go tomorrow, apart from the fact that nobody will want to find me if LinkedIn doesn't exist anymore, so I'll be stuck in shelves in Tesco's. But I think it's about having it's a strategy, isn't it? Like, how am I going to show up? So it's more than just having a website. So I think a lot of business owners go, I need a website, but actually they need to have that strategy above about where else they're going to show up, don't they? And how, because just because you have a website doesn't mean build it and people will come. Same with LinkedIn, build it and you think people will come, and they won't. You need to have more of a strategy behind it. Is that something you'd agree with?
Yeah, definitely. And that's like the first thing we do with clients and prospects that come to us. We get a lot of people that will say, oh, I need a website, I just need something simple. And we're like, well, step back, let's look at your presence first, and let's try and think about how we're gonna drive people to that website, and how how you're speaking to your ideal customer, really. So
and I think from my point of view, having a website is important because I still need to capture people's details, because as I say, I don't own that, and if LinkedIn goes tomorrow, everything's kind of gone. So I think that's really important. But I always say as well, and I think this is another reason why you need a strategy, is that LinkedIn is a website. And if you optimize your LinkedIn profile, it will get you found on Google, because Google loves LinkedIn. And James asked a great question here. So if you do have any questions, let us know. But James asked a great question about how LinkedIn SEO compares with the website as far as Google's concerned. So my opinion, Jane, for what it's worth, is that it's better because LinkedIn does the SEO for you. Google loves it. And one of my company pages is top of the search results for LinkedIn training Yorkshire. Hooray, happy days. But I don't know. What do you think, Rick?
LinkedIn pages do so very highly in Google. So yeah, it's a great one. You've got a whole network in a site, with LinkedIn that's worked with experts consistently over a period of time to help with the SEO process of things. So yeah, it's up there, definitely.
I think for me, LinkedIn, I always say to people, if you've done, and we're going to come on to keywords in a minute, I know that, but optimize, when we say optimizing your LinkedIn profile or optimizing your website, that's all the SEO, search engine optimization, isn't it? As far as I'm concerned, if you've done that work for your website, all of that same information can go on to LinkedIn to help raise the profile of that. And some people might go, well, why would I want to take people to LinkedIn when I want to get them to my website and stuff? And for me, the reason for LinkedIn is that I can get to see who comes to me. Whereas if somebody goes to your website, if they don't make some form of action, as in leave their name and email, you don't actually know, do you?
No, that's true. And LinkedIn is that personal visibility as well. You know, people like to see the person behind the brand. Certainly if you've got a company there, and you're that person behind that. So you've got your personal profile there on LinkedIn. You've got your whole brand doing the other work, you know, across your Google profile, across your website. And yeah, there's perfect arguments for both, you know, in the way that you need that overall consistency to marry everything together.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. The point is, whether it's LinkedIn, Google, your website, other social media, they've all got to say the same thing, haven't they? That's where the consistency is. The branding, the messaging, what you're saying, what you do has to be consistent across the piece, isn't it?
Well, that's it. And we do see that people, you know, have historically set up a website that looks about 20 years old now, left that, forgot about it, set up something that looks totally, completely different. So the idea behind the consistency is, one, you've got it in the look of it, so that when people land on any of your social media pages, they can immediately marry that up with what they've also seen on your website. You know, they've got that familiarity about you, and it's fed by the tone as well, the language you speak, you know, how you speak and interact with people, and the information, you know, is good for people to get that. You know, you kind of, our minds love consistency in terms of like the information we're taking on board. If we're hearing it consistently well, we're likely to trust and value that person's input. But the search engines as well are looking at that, and they don't see all the visual stuff. They see that more information. And, you know, the more consistent that is, the more likely they're going to go to. You know, if you put your business name in Google, for instance, you'll see it later when we talk about a reporting tool we've got. But if you're not consistent in the information you're putting out, even Google looks at it and goes, is this the right business I'm looking at here? Is it right? You know, so consistency is key.
We don't want to create any element of doubt, do we? I've always said that, you know, when you come to do a LinkedIn profile, you don't want to create any element of doubt that you're the right person. And it just seems to keep reiterating the same thing, you know. And I love the fact that it's not about recreating different content. It's about using the same messaging and branding across the board, which is fantastic. So Craig's got a brilliant question here. So I am just going to Craig. So it used to be that Google would promote your business more than you had at least 5 recommendations, because that's a really good point, isn't it? Everybody wants these Google reviews, which is yours truly has to do. What's the importance of these Google reviews?
So I'm a big one for pushing people to ask for Google reviews. You know, there's other review sources, of course, but
like LinkedIn recommendations.
Yeah, exactly. And it comes back to that Google loves itself kind of thing again. You know, so Google reviews do work to enhance your Google profile. That ultimately is what Google's then using to feed against everything else it finds out about you. So yeah, 5 or more recommendations certainly pushes you up the rankings. The more reviews you can push, the more likely you get going to get seen against your competitors, compared to your competitors.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because LinkedIn introduced something called services, which isn't particularly exciting in my opinion, but they allow you to also capture reviews in a similar way that Google works. But actually, you know, there's so many places that you can put these reviews, recommendations, whatever you want to call it. In essence, really, the best place is to get them on your Google profile so that you are coming up in those Google search results more likely to.
It's clear.
As much as I say, get your LinkedIn recommendations, it's also, you know, get them on both. If somebody does your recommendation or vice versa, try and get them on both, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah, get them on, you know, get them on as many places as you can, wherever you're, particularly if your clients are hanging out on Google, you'll want your recommendations there as well. But certainly for the main search engines, get people leaving your Google reviews.
Yeah, so I just want to, somebody's mentioned about borrowed land aspect of LinkedIn, and that, you know, absolutely, we don't own LinkedIn and things like that. But I think for me, the whole, I just get rid of, I think for me, the thing about LinkedIn is where, because you've just mentioned people hang out on Google. Well, you know, a lot of people hang out on LinkedIn, and I'm a big believer in being where people are hanging out, but you need something to drive them to get them off LinkedIn, which I think is really important. So it's a bit like networking. You know, you could go to a networking group and that disappears and you're in the same boat. You've got to somehow get to build relationships with people and get them into something that you can own, or so that you can carry on the conversation. So I think, you know, for me, that's really important. I've got a really great question from Viv as well. So she's got 2 Google My Business profiles, and I was going to say, I thought the question is, should we delete it? But can you delete them? I think I've got to. I think I created one, but
you can delete and close them. So yeah, it should be, if you've got access, you're the admin on your Google profile. If you go into your settings, you should find an option there to delete it. Just obviously make sure you're not losing anything you don't want to lose, and take the information off there. That ultimately you could reuse that on your new one if that's, you know, rather than running 2. But yeah, definitely it can be done.
It can, yeah, and you obviously don't want to, do you? Because you want one where you can put all of the reviews. Sorry, yeah. Well,
that's
so you want to focus on one and get that right.
We've actually worked with a client in America, funny enough, and they had a Google profile based in Florida, and one of them just a little bit further away, I think. But yeah, Google just gets confused. So there is ways if you
So do I. I love that. Google gets confused. We don't want to be confusing anyone, do we?
There is ways though. If you're a business that has multiple locations, you've got a few shops, there's ways through one profile to add secondary locations. So if it's something that someone wanted to do and they won't sort of do it, how to do it, just speak to me first, obviously. But yeah, there is ways to do it correctly that will associate with your main business.
And it's very important we do not confuse LinkedIn, or confuse LinkedIn or Google, sorry. I was going to say, we don't confuse Google, we don't confuse LinkedIn either, or me even, for that matter. So what I'd like to do now, if we can we give people some tips that they can be doing to improve their online visibility, that consistent online presence? What would be your sort of top tips that we can all be doing now to improve it?
Well, so yeah, what I always say is put yourself in your customer's shoes. So think about what types of questions they might be asking to find your business. There's a really good website we use called Answer the Public. So if you type that into Google, you should find it. And that analyzes search engine data and gives you some useful tips to find out what people are asking about. If you put your services in there, you'll get some ideas. And then, from that as well.
answer the public, that was, if nobody's heard of it.
Answer the public.
Yeah.
And then even ChatGPT now, you know, if you put in some questions to ChatGPT describing your business and what might people be looking for, you'll get some ideas that way. You know, as to, and then it's key then to get those sort of questions on all your content. So, you know, looking at, use it as your keywords to optimize your profiles, for your LinkedIn profile and your Google profile.
Absolutely, it's still the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. And ultimately then it's that consistency. Have a good consistency check. Look at all your content and go through it and think, am I saying the right things, that the things I want to say, and is it consistent across all sources?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you think about your website, I've just been going through a process of updating my website, and of course all the copywriting has just been focused on the website. So in theory, what you're saying is we should take that copywriting, the work that we do on websites, should be taken out to also then make sure that my LinkedIn profile is consistent with it, my Google My Business is consistent with it, and any other places that you might be able to find me is consistent with it.
Yeah, because that's your tone as well. That's your brand, your tone, the messaging you want to put out there. So it should be consistent from your website, you know, all the way through everything you do.
Yeah. But I've just put answer the public. So Sarah's very kindly put the link there to answer the public if anybody wants to have a look at that. So just to get this straight, the questions is you have to, is there a minimum or maximum number of questions you need to have on your Google My Business profile?
No. So with the Google Business Profile, actually, it's a tool that was brought in. The Q&A section is something where your customers could actually go on and ask you a question. But what a lot of people don't know is you can do it yourself. You can fill it in as the business owner. And certainly it's something I do for a lot of clients now. We come up with, you know, some top frequently asked questions, and we fill it in and populate it ourselves. And you can have as many questions as you want, and then it just acts like that FAQ section of the website.
And I guess, you know, if you think about your top questions that your clients ask you, I suppose that would be a good place to start. You know, what are the types of questions? And then from so on LinkedIn, there isn't really a Q&A section as such, but I guess what you want to do is like objection handling almost, isn't it? So, you know, what are the challenges that people have and how you help, and that can all go into your about section and your experience and things like that. So, and I guess, you know, it's all about your post, isn't it? You know, the common questions that your client's going to be asking is stuff that you want to be posting about on LinkedIn as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's when you can come up with content based on each question, really, and get that out on your LinkedIn.
So when I talk to people about optimizing their LinkedIn profile, I talk a lot about keywords. So what kind of words or key phrases are people using to find you? And I guess, you know, that's really important, is to understand those, isn't there? Is there a way of working out what your best keywords are likely to bring you up?
Well, it's there is tools on Google online, so you can actually use if you're on, there's something called Google Search Console, and there's a keyword planner tool on there.
That's one to look at.
That's interesting. And as well, just like, you know, nowadays we've got ChatGPT, as I mentioned, that is giving you, even in asking those questions, what types of questions your customers are asking, you'll find that you're getting things back that make you think about those services that you offer and the keywords that people can search, that can use to find them services. It comes back to that.
Research. Quite a bit of research.
It comes back to that putting yourself in your customer's shoes as well.
Shoes, yeah. What kind of words would they be using? What questions are they going to be using? So you know, it's like everything. It's a marketing tool, isn't it? You have to know who your ideal clients is and understand their pains and challenges and put yourself in their shoes. Absolutely, it's just comes back to the same thing every time, really. We're actually coming up to the half hour. Can you believe it already? So I just want to quickly, you've got a business snapshot report, haven't you? Which actually reveals people where they are currently with their online visibility. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that and how they can, it's a free offer, isn't it? Where they can get that.
It's a free business tool. So basically all it does is we use this quite a lot with clients and prospects. And it basically will scan the internet for any mention of your online presence. So any part of your online presence, sorry. So in the same way that search engines are gathering data on you, this will look for any mention of you. It'll look at your Google presence, social media profiles, online directories you might be listed in, and your website from a technical aspect as well. It brings back loads of easy to action, you know, data that you can look through. And as I say, it's free. We offer a follow-up meeting on the back of that to help you understand the results. And then,
I'm looking forward to seeing mine.
Yeah.
Or am I looking forward to seeing mine? I'm not sure. but yeah, so they can get in touch with you, Rick, to get if anybody's interested in that, get in touch with Rick, connect with him on LinkedIn, and it is pretty interesting stuff, isn't it? So so we are out of time now, Rick. Thank you so much indeed for all those wonderful insights. I really appreciate that. I hope that was useful. If anybody's got any more questions, please do put them in the comments box. You know, Rick and I can come back to those after this is finished. So if you watch the replay, please do put your questions in there and we'll aim to answer them for you. But thank you very much again for joining us today. And until next month and the next LinkedIn Lovin', thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.